Thank you, everybody, for coming. I structured the presentation in essentially three parts. I want to introduce the agency, then I want to start to talk about CleanSeaNet, the project that I'm running, and finally, some lessons learned, some challenges that we are facing in order to make this service operational. The agency was established in 2002. We are more or less approximately 200 staff members, and our annual budget is 50 million euros. What are our duty? We support you for the implementation of the EU maritime legislation, and we provide technical cooperation and advice to the member states and the European institutions as well. Other agencies are part of our stakeholders. So, CleanSeaNet, I call it as a maritime spatial data services. What CleanSeaNet is a European system for detecting oil spills based on satellite images. The main goal of CleanSeaNet is a service. When we talk about service, I'm not talking only about web services. I'm talking about service that has to be interoperable with other organizations. So at the end, what we are trying to do is also to be interoperable with the response chain the member states has to put in place in order to try to solve the issue regarding oil spills. And also, as a final goal, we have to identify polluters. CleanSeaNet is in a second version. This version is mainly based on standard services. We have around 26 EU countries plus EFCA, approximately 500 users. How CleanSeaNet works? With the member state, we plan acquisition of the satellite images. We process with the service provider those images. We extract feature, oil spill, but not only, vessel detected. And then, in 30 minutes, it's important because it's a near real-time system. In 30 minutes, we have to trigger a phone or an email alert to the Coastal Guard in order to trigger another set of action, like to fly on the oil spill, verify it, give some feedback, and then take other action in order to recover the situation. In these 30 minutes, we have to gather a lot of different sources of information in order to make this issue regarding the oil spill in a context where operators can understand what they have to do. One of the most important information is the vessel track in order to identify the polluter. And that is an incredible amount of data that has to be shared between different services and different organizations. Since CleanSeaNet version 2 is in operational phase, so February 2011, so more than 1 year, we have identified 2,297 oil spills around the European seas. I want to share with you this, I would say, is not an idea. We are thinking about it because that is how CleanSeaNet is being implemented. CleanSeaNet is implemented based on different sources of information, meteorological and sea state information, vessel track, IIS I mentioned before, but also LRIT, oil spill drifting model, nautical charts, satellite images, mainly SAR images, in situ sensor, airborne sensor. We acquire all those information, we process those information in order to make available this information in different web services. A WFS service where you can extract oil spill feature, coverage services for satellite images, also WMS services and the catalog services. And then on top of these services we have a client, a CleanSeaNet vessel and oil spill client. Then we discovered that these services can fit the purpose and the use for different other use cases. For instance, we are going to implement a new application of shore platform monitoring based on these services. We have discovered also that, and we set up a project called EMDate in order to integrate these services with other information and create added value. But here, I would say the most important issue is that these standard services helps a lot other agencies in Europe or other, I would say, company in the private sector to make this information available and create business on using this information. That is the great advantages to think about in terms of standard services. So, in summary, I would say CleanSeaNet is a near real-time, and that is, I want to stress here, spatial data services. Involve different stakeholders and belong to a different team, safety, environment, security, and we process several data and services. So in other terms, what we are doing here is to try to create an application in order to take the right decision at the right moment. That is the goal of CleanSeaNet. Create a context of all of this information in order to help operators for taking the right decision. Here I want to say service and interoperability. What service is? We are adopting a methodology based on ITIL, where that makes us in a condition to change a little bit, to shift the way we are thinking about the way we are going to deliver our information. Because a service for us is a way out to create a value to a customer without that the customer has the ownership of the cost and the risk to run the services. So to create a value, what we are doing is to try to fit the purpose of fit for use. So fit for purpose is to create a service that match performance and remove constraints. And when we talk about fit for use, we are considering to make this service available enough, capacity enough, continuous enough, and secure enough in order to meet the requirements of the user. Interoperability. According to the Interoperability European Framework, from a legal point of view to the technical viewpoint, we have some steps to understand. One is, from the legal point of view, Europe calls for different interoperability, or in a context of maritime, we are covered from different interoperability requirements and policies. All of those are policies that call explicitly to build a system in order to be interoperable. But here I want also to stress another point, and maybe you, Steve, mentioned before in your presentation, where you say, okay, we have in OGC we are able to support from the technical point of view to the management point of view, and then there are other steps on top of them. I would say this is a point for us, because we are running services, we are implementing service architecture, and that's from the technical point of view, it's quite easy to do that. We have an experience on that. But from the organizational point of view, I mean internal organization, we are facing a tremendous difficulties in order to reshape how we have to organize our agency in order to fulfill all the requirements that this kind of approach, a service-oriented approach, is able to provide. Another aspect that I want to stress with you is about the governance of the standardization. We are facing a sort of problem in terms of duplicating effort and cost in order to follow all the standardization organization around the world that help us to create standard services. For us, this kind of topic is becoming a quite sensitive topic. I mentioned here all the issue that we have in terms of technical viewpoint, and that's, if you have a look on the other presentation and the interoperability concept document that JRC has published recently, all these kind of points are mentioned. Last two slides. My last slide, this slide is about, okay, we have a near real-time services, we have a performance issue, and our goal is to try to minimize as much as possible the performance in order to make this service operational. Well, when in a technical context you address this issue, stakeholder, technical provider always used to say, okay, but that's a matter of implementation. Is it? Yes, it is. It's a matter of implementation, but not only. What we are, I would say, discover and we are trying to redesign is, it's a matter of implementation, but it's also a matter of a paradigm, how we are going to orchestrate our services. So what Daria mentioned before, when a user needs to find some information, then to bind that information, then to consume that information, is a paradigm where SDI application has been built since the beginning. What we are now doing here is an event-driven approach. When something happens, we have to trigger a number of actions in order to collect information and make those information available. So what we are doing is to change a paradigm, how we are orchestrating these services, WMS, WFS, and coverage services, according to the event-driven paradigm, publish and subscribe paradigm. So these are more or less what we are doing in the next months. We are working on defining better oil spill vessel detect application schema, and we want to collect this experience in a sort of engineering report in order to provide our feedback about our spatial data infrastructure. That's it. Thank you very much.